And just as we're waiting here, the 2 more minutes, announcement this meeting is being recorded will help us with generating the minutes afterward and make it available publicly on our website. So I want to make that announcement in case anyone has any concerns. Yes. Trying to find out who that is.
Which key do you have to hold the slider bar? See, I don't use the touch pad. I'm just telling you. Get down, see what it is.
It can be finicky. Touchpad. You're trying to rename guest. You either do it through here.
Okay, I'll just do it there.
And then rename. That's right.
That's easy. That is.
Rather fun in that right hand thing.
All right, well, it's 9:33 a.m. So we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. If we have any other additional late traffic, we'll accept them and welcome them into the meeting. Just quickly before we do that, we have a guest came up joining through the app. Would you identify yourself, please, for guest, just for notations? If you could unmute guest.
I think that's central office also, just join. Great, that's right.
Yeah, it should be right.
Somebody else just joined.
Okay, well, maybe the guest cannot hear us, but later on, if you're able to unmute yourself and identify who you are coming up as guest, we'll rename you for the meeting recording.
250 haven't had that either.
So we'll call the meeting to order. It's the May 19th SEDA COG MPO meeting. Thanks to Lincoln for being with us in the room, and thanks to everyone else joining us virtually. We'll do just a quick round of introductions here in the room. My name is Steve Herman, the Transportation Planning Program Director at SEDA COG, and the chair of the SEDA COG MPO as approved by the body. And then I guess I'll just go to my left. Don's helping us out with moderating, keeping everything going, but Don Keel.
Hi.
And Lincoln.
Lincoln Kaufman, Snyder County Planning.
And Bryce Buck, GIS analyst here at SEDA COG.
Great, that's us in the room. Hopefully you can see us okay with the video feed. Rather than doing everybody, since we can see your names, we'll just do introductions of folks. This is your first ever SEDA COG MPO meeting, and I believe we have at least one of those. We're glad to have Carrie Ann Love join us as a voting member. The Mifflin County Commissioners had designated her upon her hiring to replace Mark Schultz. So Carrie Ann, would you mind unmuting and introducing yourself, please?
Thank you. My name is Carrie Ann. As you said, I have replaced Mark as the planning director for Mifflin County. Been on the job a few weeks only yet, so still trying to get a handle on everything.
Great. Well, we're glad to have you on board and partner and connect with you on a number of things, Mifflin County and across the region. And we'll look to probably do an orientation session with you sometime when you kind of have a space there, and we can take you through more about the MPO planning process and the folks and the representatives and typical milestones and documents that we're working on, all that kind of good stuff. So we'll look to do that in the near future.
Great, thanks.
Great. Anyone else? Is this your first ever SEDA COG MPO meeting that's joining in?
Hi, Steve. It's Morgan. Oh, sorry. Morgan from Rockland Planning, here to present the LRTP dashboard.
Great. Thanks, Morgan. We're glad to work with you on a number of fronts, but I think this is your first ever meeting. We'll look forward to presenting the dashboard and talking to the members a little bit later on. We have a couple of phone numbers that we haven't renamed or identified yet. So just for confirmation, ending in 2050, could you unmute and let us know who you are?
This is Jeff Eisman from Pennsylvania Silk and PA Transportation Alliance. I'll be in and out. I'm actually on my way to a dental appointment. I should be back on after that, though. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Hopefully pain-free for you today. And how about 7740, please? That's 570-713. 7740.
Hi, it's Jenny Carr from Dewberry Engineers.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. And I believe that takes us through all the phone callers that we've now identified. So we will go ahead and move into the public forum on the agenda. It's item B. Is there anything not on the agenda anyone wants to bring up or discuss at this time? Go ahead.
Oh, this is Jeff. Oh, hi, this is Jeff Eisman again from PA Silk. Steve responded to me with an email. I saw that PennDOT had an update on the Lewistown station. It looks like they do have a date for work on that. Looks like it's going to be starting shortly and completed in 25. I don't know if you have any other comments on that.
No, just thanks for that update. I had not seen that. I know all along the N-Track system, they're doing a lot of upgrades for accessibility and everything. So thanks for bringing that to our attention. I don't have anything. I don't know if anyone else from PennDOT is aware of the Lewistown station and any other upgrades.
Steve, Mark Schultz. I knew that they were interested in upgrades and they were working towards that, but I was not aware that they were moving forward yet.
Thank you, Mark.
This is Jeff. I think someone had mentioned before that a lot of the delays had been more over I guess you have different parts of the properties are owned by different stakeholders, and then some of it's considered historical, and that always seems to be a barrier with like ADA type for accessibility measures and things like that. So I'll see what else I can find out for the next meeting. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Jeff. Yeah, there's some constraints there, like you said, ownership and historic fabric of the building and everything. So thanks for keeping track of that and letting us know. Okay, anything else for the public forum section of the agenda? If not, we're on to agenda item C. That's the approval of the March 17th, 2023 MPO minutes. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to review those. They were included in your advance packet that was shared earlier this week on Wednesday. And so those begin on page 3 and run through page 7. If everyone's had a chance to review them, we would look for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Lincoln, for the motion. Do we have a second?
Brad Kerstetter, second.
Brad, thank you for the second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? And any abstentions? Great, thank you for your review of that. As just a reminder for any of the newer folks, the minutes are, once they're approved, added to our website as well. So those are available in addition to the recording of each MPO meeting. So we'll get those published after today. On to agenda item D. This is the TIP administrative modifications and amendments. One of our normal early action items on our agenda. There were some late activity with some adjustments and amendments coming in, and we wanted to make sure we shared the latest with you. So the updated packet link that we shared on Wednesday does include the newer amendments. There's 2 amendments in District 2 and 2 amendments in District 3 for today. Those, again, are when we have new projects using federal funds primarily, or we have cost increases that exceed $2 million, or we're deleting projects with federal funds. A lot of times those are the most frequent amendment items. So in the packet starting on page 9 is an amendment for District 2. And we will defer to Mark Schultz to give a briefing on what was occurring here for this project that went to the Program Management Committee at PennDOT. for approval and is here today for the MPO's approval as well. Mark, could you run down through that for us, please?
Yes, thank you, Steve. Just wanted to check, we're examining the 22 P41 project.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, wanted to make sure I don't know that I have pulled up the updated chart packet. So,
Sure.
in
Yep,
this,
thank you. Yep, the bridge preservation project. Yep.
yes, in this request, this amendment request, the department had received a low bid for the 22 P41 bridge preservation interest of 6 bridges on Route 22 in Juniata County. The original low bid came in at a very good price. We were very pleased with that. But the contractor that had initiated that low bid did not complete all of their paperwork and was rejected from that low bid scenario. The concern or the comment was that they may have recognized that they had missed some items within their bid. The second and the third bidders were very tight in their bid scenario, and the department was able to move forward and is intending to move forward and select the second low bidder, which these cost adjustments displayed on page 9 identify. So it's an increased cost of $2.9 million. That money, funds to support that $2.9 million are recognized as available funds in the Lewistown Narrows rehab project that is designated in red, funds that are available in federal fiscal year 24 and 25. Those funds, the funds were made available because of estimate updates. I guess a new updated estimate for the Lewistown Narrows rehab intention is that we will have reduced expense, reduced cost for that project, making these funds available. So we also included the PMC request on pages 10 and below for this bridge interest. Talks a lot about the interest, talks about the cost increase, talks about the items that were identified in the bid justification for asphalt, for concrete, for reinforcement bars. Removal of the existing bridge was increased. Existing bridge, I say, but it's bridges. There's 4 bridges that will need to be removed, and that was an increased cost of almost $1.5 million, accounting for the cost increase. That increases over our original department estimate. And as we move down through, you can see the location map on page 13, and then some images on pages 14 and 15. Steve, would you like me to proceed, or do you want to discuss this request first?
We'll see if there's any questions, comments from the members on it before taking a vote on this amendment itself. Yep, thank you. Any questions for Mark about what's required or what occurred with this for the cost increase? Okay, if not, we would look for a motion to approve the amendment for the 2023 SEDA COG Bridge Preservation Project that Mark ran down and the justification for it. This was approved by the PMC, a couple weeks ago, Mark?
It was approved on May 11th, and we are still on track. The interest and urgency with this project is that we have 2 bridge structures, the 2 images that are displayed on pages 15 and 16, or 14 and 15, that we are interested in completing that work this construction season 2023. We're pushing this along so that we can issue a notice to proceed to construction on May 30th and get the contractor out there to initiate work.
Great, thank you for advancing that and those critical needs. So if there are no additional questions for Mark, do we have a motion to approve this amendment as presented?
Steve, Brad Kerstetter, motion to approve as presented.
Great, thank you, Mark, or thank you, Brad. Do we have a second?
Sean McLaughlin, I'll second.
Sean, thank you for the second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any nays? And any abstentions? Okay, great. Thank you, Mark, for running that down. Thank you, members, for the approval. We did have another amendment in District 2, and that's for a slide repair on State Route 1002 in Mifflin County. So Mark, would you run down that for the members as well, please?
Yes. When we designed and developed the 2023 tip, there was an interest in the SR 103 slide area that is currently program funds on the tip. Before the tip development process is lengthy and takes more than a year and a half. And with that time frame, the department recognized that we could not wait for the funds. We could not wait on the development and design for that interest and on SR 103. So the department moved ahead with county forces and county funds, PennDOT county maintenance funds, to reconstruct and restore that roadway and slide area on SR 103. With that work being completed, the project that was programmed on the 2023 tip was no longer necessary. Those program funds were no longer necessary. So we had been holding those funds for other project needs until such a time came up. Recently, it was recognized that the 1002 Honey Creek Road project or road area had also developed as a slide concern. And the department is interested at this time in moving funds from the previously designated PA 103 slide area to the SR 1002 Honey Creek slide area, both locations within Mifflin County. This will allow us to proceed with preliminary engineering, the design of the, engineering for the S-curve area and the roadway crest area over vertical to identify drainage needs that are anticipated to be, deteriorating and being a factor with the roadway concern at this location. That's all I have at this time, Steve.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Any questions or discussion on the amendment for District 2 in Mifflin County? If not, do we have a motion to approve as presented? This is page 16 of your packet if you're following along online.
So moved, Frank Hampton.
Frank, thank you for the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Lincoln in the room has a second. Sorry, Lincoln Kaufman. Just beat you there, Steve, but thank you for getting right on that. We'll give the second to Lincoln. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay? Any abstentions? Okay, hearing none, it has properly been moved, seconded, and passed. So we will get the E-steps, as they call them, for those two amendments in District 2 off after the meeting. There are the normal kind of administrative actions here in the packet as well. Those begin on page 17 and run through page 20 for the District 2 area. Mark, is there anything you'd like to highlight for the members on the activity here?
We had basic needs on page 16, or funds needed to match consultant agreements, funds needed to match low bids on the solar powered chevrons that should be coming out and completed later this year. On page 18 with the others, we have funds that were captured on a previous tip and are now becoming funds available to support other projects because of low bid cost savings. We have funds that had been previously advanced. We are advancing for Branch Creek Box. We're advancing funds into 2023 construction season to accommodate the bid and actual construction season. And we also have on the next page the carbon reduction program reserve line item. We have funds that have been moved into the region, moved into the MPO for carbon reduction plan. These are federal funds that we've been discussing and will be discussing later in this meeting as well. And let's see, on the bottom of that page, we have bridge preservation. we needed funds to support another low bid need. The next page has funds also that were identified as being available for local bridge interest, local state bridge funding interests and needs. And we move into the bottom of that page with SR 3008 trip to Tuscarora Creek. We had to add a final design phase for that project. It was previously eliminated because we believed that project was going to be an in-house design, but we did not have the capacity to do it for in-house design and had to take that out to a consultant. On the next page, had carbon, let me see, maybe I doubled up on the carbon reduction. And on the last page, let's move to the last page there. We had an updated estimate for Long Hollow Run Bridge and the branch over Long Hollow Run as well on 22. Updated estimates and balancing of federal and state funds. We had in the middle with the bridge preservation and funds that were returned. A previous predetermined amount for a local bridge repair was not necessary. And on the bottom of that page, we had estimate updates that were needed for preliminary engineering. So at this time, that's all I have, Steve.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Any questions for Mark on the administrative or lesser actions? Okay, if not, do we have a motion to approve the District 2 administrative actions on pages 17 to 20 of your packet?
So moved, Frank Hampton.
Okay, thank you, Frank. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second to Lincoln Kaufman. Thank you, Lincoln. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you for running down through those, Mark, and thank you everyone for the approvals. As mentioned, we do have a couple, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you, Steve. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. This allows us to continue with our projects, allows us to continue with our anticipated construction schedules, and it's an important process to review and approve, and I appreciate your effort.
Great, thank you, Mark. There's a lot to balance, and yeah, when you get those kind of bid issues, it can be problematic. So thanks for all you did to advance those projects and you know, keeping the improvements flowing. On page 21 of your packet, there's an amendment related to the CSVT, what we had with the additional federal funds through the rural grant, and there's another one in Northumberland County as well on page 22. So John, would you like to present these two amendments in District 3 for the members?
Yes, I can. Thanks, Steve. Can you hear me?
Yes, sounds good.
Very good. The first one is an action for CSVT, the Southern Section projects. Basically, make sure I'm looking at this the right one. It's the adjustment for the $69 million that we got in rural grant funding, and then ripple effect adjustments that we did have some increases that we basically covered under these adjustments for the Southern Section Structures contract, which will be the second Southern contract for CSVT, and then the Southern Paving contract, which will be the third contract for CSVT in the Southern Section. And again, it's basically the $69 million was a nice grant from the federal government for us that covered all increases, and plus we also got some funding to give back to the states for state dollar wise. And I'll take any questions on this.
Okay, hearing none, this was already endorsed as part of the adjustments to the statewide TIP or STIP. So now the confirmation from the MPO is needed here for today. So we would look for a motion to approve the amendment related to the CSVT project.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion by Lincoln Kaufman. Thank you, Lincoln. Do we have a second?
I'll second that, Steve.
I think we had a tie there. We'll give that one to Steve Phillips, if you don't mind, Frank. Since he tried earlier, we'll give the second to Steve Phillips. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? And any abstentions? Okay, great, thank you. And then also page 22, the bridge epoxy overlay and some additional bridges being added there. Could you run down that one for us, please, John?
Yes, I can, Steve. Thank you. Originally, this project had only 2 bridges on State Route 45 and State Route 1014. They were both bridges over the west branch of the Susquehanna River. We added 5 more bridges to this contract, as 4 of the 5 bridges were on previously on roadway projects. However, we couldn't deliver the bridge work in time when the roadway project was going to let. So we pulled the bridges off those projects and the funding, moved it to a line item, and then proceeded to add these bridges plus 1 extra bridge on Route 80 to this project. So for a total of 7 bridges. Of course, when we did that, it inflated the estimate of the project over $2 million, which is why we're here for an amendment. And again, we had the funding in part to cover this from what we released. However, of course, unfortunately, all the estimates for these bridges were around a 2020 nature. So having updated them to the current costs, we got a little bit of inflation. In fact, we got a lot of inflation to also increase for. How we adjusted for this is we had 3 bridges that were moving out due to how we can deliver them. 1, because of right-of-way, 2, just because of how staff-wise and schedule-wise we can deliver them. We were able to move those funds into the out years and release those funds in the years that we need them, in the earlier years of the TIP, and utilized our BRIP line item, our bridge line item, in the out years to fund what we moved out. So in effect, we didn't really affect any projects besides just adjusting to the schedules that we needed to adjust to anyways. I know it's a lot to try to take in what I said there, but basically, besides having to do a couple other minor cash flow adjustments to some other projects, which we didn't have to move out, we really didn't see any loss of projects because of this.
Great, thank you, John, for how you balanced all that. Are there any questions for John?
And the only thing I'll add, Steve, is the reason you don't see a PMC item, our PMC item is being routed to go to the June PMC meeting. So I don't have it basically finalized yet. And we would like to have this approved now, so we don't have to wait till July. And after the June PMC meeting, we can go ahead and move on with the actions.
Great. Yeah, thank you for being cognizant of that and advancing it. You know, it makes sense to get this approval here today, so we're not holding it until July 21st for the next MPO meeting. So, great. Do we have a motion to approve the amendment for MPMS 117570 on page 22? Lincoln in the room has the motion. Thank you, Lincoln. Do we have a second?
Steve, Mark Schultz, I'll second that.
Thank you, Mark, for the second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. We're up to the administrative actions for District 3. Those are pretty comprehensive, pages 23 to 35 of your packet. Are there any significant highlights you want to cover here today, John, for the members?
There's a bit here. So Steve, I'll try to be as concise as I can and roll through this. Basically, in the first part of the actions, you're seeing adjustments to our roadway design cost program. I'm basically catching up to what we could do and what we actually spent this fiscal year on our roadway design, and any savings I pushed to the line item. You'll see that again later. I believe I did another action like that. Moving on, we have a couple cost increases for pre-construction phases due to generally work order adjustment amendments for consultant work. Then moving on, here is the 90, the adjustment for, I believe, a low bid cost increase for the substructure contract. And here's where I moved the 642 bridges from the roadway project. As I said before, we did that earlier, I believe, for the other bridges, and here's one for this actual 642 bridges that we moved that are on the amendment that I just presented. And some more cost adjustments. And a cost increase for 405-106 Ferry Lane to Walnut Street, low bid cost increase. Again, more just minor cost adjustments. And then some bid savings for the HSIP set aside reserve line item. We had a good bid, so we gave back the set aside funds that we didn't need back to the line item for the set aside. And again, some minor cost adjustments. Cost adjustments to the pedestrian countdown signals. Again, here's the other five, and then another roadway design cost adjustment to what we did spend or did not spend. We did an adjustment for Locust Gap to Locust Summit. We did an adjustment for CRP funding. And an adjustment for 1003 over tributary to Little Buffalo Creek. And then cost increase, low bid cost increase for Route 11, 130, Section 130, level 11, 129, and Route 35. And then we started doing some other adjustments to catch up to where we are with the project on 9001 over the SEDA COG Railroad. Another adjustment to the pedestrian countdown signals. And then we started to do the adjustments that you saw for the amendment to move the funding around for Route 11 and for Route 522 and 225. And that basically wraps up that part. And we did a minor adjustment on 901 to its cash flow. And then there's the adjustment for CSVT.
Okay, thank you, John. Any questions on the administrative actions, pages 23 to 35 of the packet? If not, do we have a motion to approve as presented?
I'll make a motion.
Lincoln, thank you for the motion. Do we have a second?
Eric Staley, I'll second.
Thank you, Eric, for the second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, or nay? And any abstentions? Great, thank you for all those adjustments, John, and keeping that all intact and all the rebalancing that has to occur. So within this section of the pack, we have our normal projects pending approval. So we'll continue to track those ARC local access road projects and what occurs with the traffic signal in Columbia County and Hemlock Township, and report more as there's new milestone dates or estimates on those. We're up to agenda item E then, John, if you're able to give us any new information or updates on the CSVT project and the Route 54 safety project in Montour County?
I can, Steve, and again, I'll be kind of brief on this. If anybody has any questions, again, I'll try to answer them, or I'll get back to you as soon as I can with the correct answer. Just starting real quick in the northern section, we did the overhead sign structures. We still have one remaining on Ridge Road. Once we have that, basically everything physically you'll see on the northern section will be done. There's some remediation to some geo work we got to do, but that's basically it for the northern section. Moving on to the southern section, again, you're going to see things ramping up. There will be detours, and we will be letting the municipalities know when and for how long we'll be detouring certain roads. I'm hoping to get with Ted here soon, the construction ace, and see if I can get a listing of all the detours and when they're planned and for what time and for how long they're planned for. I don't know if he kind of has that all squared away yet, but I'm hoping by the July meeting I at least have that for everybody. And again, basically what you'll see is a significant ramp up, if you've probably already seen it if you've been driving by, of work going on in and around the area. Following up again now with the structures contract, we are anticipating to let that later this year with this work to start in 2024. And then again, with the paving contract, that is on track with us to start paving hopefully in a 2026 construction year. And I'll take any questions on those.
I know we had shared the traffic count data, that came out last fall, and just for everyone's benefit, I believe there'll be another round probably this fall. Seeing how the traffic patterns are being established with the opening of the CSVT northern section. So maybe winter, there might be some new data we can share with everyone, or see in the PennDOT news releases. And then also, Matt Beck was at the Chamber Committee meeting recently, and I asked about Ridge Road, John, some of the improvements there that were on the tip. That might be pushed out, I guess, a little bit further for Ridge Road itself to accommodate the additional traffic loads on that. So just if anybody's interested in those upgrades for Ridge Road itself, those might be a little bit further than out what was initially estimated on the tip. So I don't know if do you have any more information on that, John, with the Ridge Road upgrades?
No, you're correct. It's just, we're working through the design, and it's trying to come up a balanced approach to how we're going to do the improvements without overdoing the improvements and staying within the budget that was given to us. So we're working through that. And, I guess, Steve, too, we've even looked at it a bit, and I don't see we've received any large increase of traffic since we've opened the northern section there. But again, we're committed to the improvements, and, once we get, we are moving along preliminary engineering stage and starting to finally get ourselves into final design, that, we'll have something here more tangible, and I think, later on in what we anticipated.
Okay, thank you. Bless you, Kim. Any other questions for John on the CSVT? Okay, if not, are there any updates on the SR 54 safety project in Montour County?
The one update I do have, Steve, is we do have a final right-of-way plan that did get approved in April, so we are moving forward, and in July I'll have a more updated response to go over over 54.
Okay, great. Well, I'm glad that was approved, and we'll look forward to your future updates. Greg's not on today, but I'm sure he'll be interested in those and the progress being made. Greg Moeller, so thank you, John. Any other questions for John on our kind of most significant major projects in the District 3 area? Okay, hearing none, we're up on to agenda item F. That's the long-range transportation plan performance measures online dashboard. We've been sharing that we are working with our consultant team. We have Michael Baker International on open end, and a sub-consultant Rockland Planning, and that's Morgan, who introduced herself at the very beginning. Ruzicki, and she's gonna present this and screen share, show you what the tool looks like. If you didn't have a chance to click on the link that we shared in advance, she's gonna cover some of the highlights. What we were trying to accomplish was that with this to make it more visually appealing for how we're reporting on our performance measures than what we've done in the past. With our normal Word document converted to a PDF, this is much more interactive and presents the data, I think, in a much higher fashion and more digestible for our members and for the public. So we're pleased to have Morgan with us here today, and Brian Funkhauser, I think, joined as well. So if either one of you want to do the initial introduction and then Morgan to run through the tool, I'll leave that up to you.
Yeah, thank you, Steve.
Beth, are you there, Brian? We had a little echo or feedback initially.
Can you hear me now?
Still a little echoey.
Is mine echoing?
Okay, Morgan, yeah, if you want to go ahead and just jump in, and then if you want to screen share, that'd be fine.
Yeah, can everybody see my screen?
No, I can't.
Nope.
I can't grab
No.
this.
I can. It says SEDA COG Metropolitan Performance Measures, all that,
Yeah.
and it just went away.
How about now?
Okay, there you go.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Okay, good. Okay, good morning, everybody. Again, I'm Morgan Ruzicki with Rockland Planning. We worked with Michael Baker, Brian on the call, and the SEDA COG MPO to put together this performance measure dashboard. It's pulling the dashboard. Is it good? Can you see my screen?
Yeah, go ahead, Morgan, thank you.
So it's pulling the performance measures that were adopted as part of the last LRTP update, and some other data, just so that it's available for the public. Everybody can go and see how the MPO is tracking with their performance measures, and with other transportation related data on here. So I can briefly go through each of the pages at a high level. And at the end, if anybody has any questions or wants to see another page in more detail, we can go ahead and do that. But I think the link was provided, so if there is if you want to take a deeper dive after the meeting and provide any comments as well, but so this is the home page. On each of the pages, we have jump to menu. There's a few different pages have a lot of information, so we just want to make sure that it's easy to track and easy to go through. But in the beginning, we briefly introduced the performance measures, information about SEDA COG, what transportation performance management is and why it's important. And then on the homepage, we have the performance measures at a glance. So this page goes through the federally required performance measures, how SEDA COG is tracking with them, with different icons for meeting the measures, if the performance is just marginal or if they're missing the mark. So this with each cycle can be updated by SEDA COG with the different numbers, the new targets, the new baselines. It briefly describes for each of them: safety, bridge and pavement, system performance reliability, and then the transit asset management measures. And at the bottom of each of these is a click here to learn more if they're more interested in drilling down deeper in this data. It'll take them to the different pages, as well as up here in this menu bar. It'll bring you to each of those pages as well. And if we keep scrolling further, we have the annual listing of federally obligated projects, showing how much money is being allocated to these projects and the count of projects for each federal fiscal year. And then my internet's a little slow today, sorry, but we have a map here showing each of the federally obligated projects from 2018 to 2022. Again, this can be updated, but all the maps are interactive, which is nice. You can get more information about the projects, scroll into specific counties. Then when we go a little bit deeper, we have want to learn more. So this takes you to SEDA COG's website, as well as the story map that they developed as an executive summary for the LRTP. And then we have the footer for contact information. So that's the same on every one of the pages as well. But I can take you to each of the performance measures in more detail. So this talks about safety, why they're using safety, how these safety measures are evaluated. We have a dashboard here that focuses on the crashes. So you can filter out by year, and then the statistics will change as you go through. And then you can also do it by county as well. With the map, you can scroll down to where those crashes are. We have it as just as a heat map right now, so it's not so specific. But you can see where those clusters are, where SEDA COG wants to start focusing or keep focusing their resources on, just so that people can see that. And then through here is the required performance measures. So we go into fatalities, the targets, the actual numbers, fatality rate, serious injury rate, and then non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries. And then some frequently asked questions. These can be expanded upon if we're getting more questions than others, but you can just click on these accordions, get some more information about them. And then we have links to other data measures here. The PCIT website, where they can get more specific crash information, and as well as the corridors of opportunity, which is also up here and mentioned on almost every page as well. As part of the LRTP, they put together this mapping product that targeted those specific corridors and areas that needed more focus. We wanted to make sure that those were included as well and pointed out throughout. So pavement and bridge follows the same type of format, even though each of the measures are a little bit different. Some of the information's different. The way we presented the data is a little different. But we have some graphs here showing the poor, fair, and good condition pavements, as well as those targets. We have another dashboard here that shows how much funding is being allocated to bridge preservation, as well as the deck area condition, and then a map showing here all of the poor and good condition bridges. And then you can also drill down on whether it's on the NHS or not on the NHS, since the NHS is the focus of these performance measures. Then we have our frequently asked questions, and then some additional links to different applications and statewide data as well. Go to reliability. Another few charts showing reliability, those targets, statewide targets, some assessment of progress. A lot of this text was pulled from the LRTP. Some different areas that are key congestion locations that we want to drill down on. And then some frequently asked questions as well. Some other useful links, and then the corridors of opportunity has a good section on key congestion areas as well. And transit asset management. So we dropped in this table again of the targets and the current performance from the group plan. And then we discussed the transit providers in the region. There's a lot of different providers, a lot of counties in the region. Some of their contact information and a link that takes you to their page if they wanted to learn more about each of the transit providers. And then we just talked about the public transportation use in the county or in the MPO. You can drill it down by county as well. See how people are getting to work, what kinds of transportation uses they're using. a link to the coordinated plan, as well as the annual report. And then down here, we just pulled out each of those services and then added in some data points from the annual report as well. And then we have our frequently asked questions again. So the quarters of opportunity, again, it's linked in here. It shows, I'm sure most of you have seen this application before, but it kind of pulls out each of key areas that use more focus with, and then as well as the project listing here. But we have traffic congestion, freight generators, safety, pavement conditions, bridge conditions, resiliency, some good layers there. That's embedded in this page. And then we have more data. So the previous data, that'll have to be updated by SEDA COG every year as those targets change, as those measures change. Here on this page, we have a link to PennDOT's GIS open data portal where people can look at the data at a statewide level. But we also have it linked down here into this application that can continuously be built out. But the data is linked live, so as things change on the PennDOT side, this will automatically be updated. So for this, we have pavement, bridge, traffic volume, truck percent. You can see, click on each of these, see where these different ratings are throughout. Again, these will be automatically updated, but this is another truck percent. See what corridors have high amounts of truck percentage as well. And then this data is all just pulled right from the open data site, so it can be downloaded from there as well. And then we have a page on CSVT. We talk about the projects. We're there in the southern section, a lot of links out to the different pages related to CSVT. And then we also talk about the strategic plan that SEDA COG worked with Williamsport MPO on and PennDOT, as well as incorporating those recent traffic updates that Steve was talking about earlier. Those can be added in here as they continue to update those new traffic numbers. So that was pulled right from PennDOT's publication about it. We have pre-CSVT, post-CSVT. You can see how those numbers drop for each of these routes here. And this can be expanded upon as well as they continue to update those. More links. And then we have a learn more section. We added in a survey. So if people go through the site and want to see something different, see something displayed a little differently, or just have general comments, they can drop it into this survey here. And the survey is also included in all of the footers. So if people just want to submit something specifically at each page, they can do that as well. But we dropped in the frequently asked questions again. This can be their place to go and see all of those, as well as a number of links out related to the LRTP performance measures and SEDA COG as well. So I know that's a lot at a high level, but does anybody have any questions? Want to see something else specifically?
Morgan, this is Mark Schultz. I had a question for you. Were you operating that live?
Yeah.
On the web, yep. On the web page?
Yeah. Yep. So
very impressive with how quickly the screens changed, how quickly the data populated. That's what keeps the public's attention. That's what keeps people active within using a tool like that. Very good.
Thanks. Yeah, ArcGIS is pretty good with that. Loading that data fast. My internet's a little slow over here, so hopefully when you guys go through it, it'll load the same or if not faster. So yeah, it's a good platform for that.
It was doing fine for me. I was looking at it online while you were going through it. I was just following along, so it did fine.
Great, thanks, Mike. That's good.
Any
Yes.
other questions for Morgan or anything you think we should display a little bit differently in the future? Any comments from the members about what's currently on the page or upgrades?
Steve,
Yeah, we
how
really
will this,
appreciate. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, how will this play into your future draft tip public comment period? Will you be utilizing a tool like this to display the draft tip and reach out for feedback through something like this?
Yeah, we do have plans to kind of follow this model. We really appreciate what Morgan's been able to offer with her expertise in designing this. And so the methodology will be there for how we can maintain this site for the long range plan. And then for Bryce to do that, long term, to be able to make those edits quickly and refresh everything. But then also maybe we can apply it to the tip and have these kind of hub sites or story maps for the tip and have more information shared out there that is distilling a lot of information data like this page is in a highly interactive and more digestible fashion. So yeah, we hope to kind of take this model and this template and apply it to other uses. Like the long range plan, you have to look backward, and then for the tip, you got to look forward on your performance measures, what the impacts are going to be. So they're slightly different. Looking at a lot of the same performance measures, but just a little bit different fashion. So we'll hope to leverage this and put it to good use for other things in the future. And we really like how this has come together, and we can do other tweaks and enhancements to in the future. And if any of the members or the districts, if you get with your bridge or pavement units and you think there's some things maybe we should show a little bit differently, feel free to let us know.
This is Don Keel. I'd like to make a comment as well. If you go back a couple of years now, it's been almost 2 years that the board approved the long-range transportation plan, and it won't be long until it gets picked up again for the next version. But we worked with the Michael Baker team on that for a pretty similar site, not focusing on performance measures, but on the projects and recommendations and so forth. But one way that I view this site is as a link pretty much back to that plan and what the next version of the long-range transportation plan will look like. And as you can see in there, there's a couple of places where that's very obvious. We wanted to include what were defined as the corridors of opportunity in the last plan. So that's carried on through the performance measures dashboard. But then that should probably carry forward through the next LRTP as well, and the CSVT site and others. So as Steve was mentioning, this being a model, I think it's also a model that does specifically carry forward to the next version of the LRTP. And that's our goal, is to try to ensure the consistency and be able to update it, especially in-house. So we're looking forward to how that kind of provides a bit of a ramp into the next version of the LRTP as well.
Great, thank you, Don. We tried to include some regional photos here as well. We can always build our library, so if there's things you think you want to see included as any of the membership, feel free to forward great representative photos to us, and we can slide those into here or other pages in the future.
Steve, there was a question in the chat.
Oh, sorry. Let's see the chat if you can pull up, Don.
Sorry.
I took care of it, Steve.
Oh, okay. Oh, you were just pasting the link in? Okay, thank you. And that link, there won't be any changes to that. So what we've shared, when this is finalized, the final version of this should be the same hub link. It's not like this is an early demo page that it'll be a different link later on. So if you have time after the meeting and you take a look at it and you have questions, feel free to forward those off to us. But I think probably by the end of June is our target. I think Morgan probably to finish this up. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely any last comments incorporated. Great.
Great. Thank you, Morgan, for all the effort you've put into this and taking our kind of iterative comments and other enhancements that you've done to it. I think it's a great tool for us. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everybody for having me. Have a great rest of your day.
I love it. Thank you so much. Done a great job.
Take care, Morgan.
Thanks.
Thank you. I'm glad we were able to go through that and everything worked well for the functionality and the share screen and the website and everything. Glad it was a fast download for everybody as well. Next on our agenda is agenda item G. This is our normal updates on the work program, staff activities. Begins on page 39 of your packet. Just going to highlight a couple items here. Feel free to stop or interrupt me throughout if you have questions. But on the first page there, 39, we have updates on the tip, and I wanted to hit the web map. We shared that link out. We want to highlight that. It's always in the staff report, but the email that went out on Wednesday for all the administrative actions and amendments that Bryce has been building and revamping. Hopefully you're finding that useful. It takes all the actions that were included earlier on the agenda in your packet and puts those out there, and you can see where they're located, what the cost adjustments are, where funds are coming from, to make that more digestible than just looking at maybe spreadsheets or narrative versions. So hopefully you're finding that useful, and if you have any comments or suggestions on it in the future, feel free to let us know for that web map of all the tip adjustments. On the limited English proficiency side, we had updated that last year and got the approval of the Title VI program with that LEP plan, our public participation plan. But we've updated our employee resource manual for our staff here, and we're going to have a training session to go through that PowerPoint as we've had some changes in staff and make sure everybody's up to speed on what's involved with all the processes. So we wanted to share that, and we'll continue our normal kind of annual evaluations and looks at the Title VI program and our outreach efforts as well. On page 40, just wanted to mention about the EV charging stations grant programs. The PennDOT one for the NEVI did close earlier this month on May 5th. So as more comes out on any decision making on those, we'll share them. And the federal charging and fueling infrastructure program is currently open, just to hit that reminder, due the end of this month, I think on the 30th. On page 41, I also wanted to highlight the PennDOT multimodal. After our last meeting, we did submit all the comments and evaluation that we did on the applications for PennDOT's multimodal program. There were 11 of those from our 8-county region. So those were submitted right after our March 17th meeting. And as we hear more about any announcements or news releases, we'll be sure to forward that off to the members. On the DCED, or Commonwealth Financing Authority side of the multimodal fund, those are open now. If you have interested applicants or municipalities, deadline is July 31st and can apply through the DCD normal single app page. Transportation alternatives set aside. Wanted to mention, we shared out that announcement this week. It was formally unveiled by PennDOT on Monday, and we shared with our membership and larger distribution list that the TA set aside program guidance has been released. Actual applications will be available for submission starting on May 30th. There's a webinar next week on May 24th, so if you have potential project sponsors, encourage them to sign on or log into that or download the recording afterward. Those are always valuable. There's a lot of information in that program guidance and elements to this project or program, so that webinar is recommended. Change this time is draft applications will be due on July 17th. Full applications September 15th. There's going to need to be coordination with the districts and the MPOs and RPOs, so there'll be some meetings through that application process stage as well. Full comments from the MPO will be due by December 1st. So just looking ahead, what we'll try to do is squeeze in another MPO meeting for those of you who are interested, probably in October or early November, to have any of the applicants come in, present their projects, have that back and forth Q&A as the members are evaluating them. That way we can be more informed and take recommendations to the full MPO at our November 18th, I believe, meeting on those project recommendations. And what we're establishing is kind of the most significant projects and any other commentary that wants to be offered on them. So that's a look ahead on that schedule. There's $28 million available statewide for this round for the any areas. So hopefully we'll see some really good, competitive projects come in and be successful in seeing those advance. The intention is that any project approved will be able to be ready for construction within 2 years after the state's announcement of the awards. So probably about April 2026 is when they should be ready to be advertised for bidding for construction. So if you have questions on any of the information we share, feel free to let us know. Talked about eligibility, any changes from the last round, and then encourage you to log on to that May 24th webinar. If you're interested in some of these kind of non-traditional projects for bicycle pedestrian accommodations, historic facilities, stormwater management, and so forth. On page number 42, just to hit PennDOT Connects here quickly. The Municipal Outreach and Peer Exchange Workshop for District 2 territory was held earlier this month. We hit that on May 4th. And the District 3 session is coming up next week on May 25th. If you are interested, you can log on for that and register online. It's a virtual session only on May 25th. They'll run down a lot of things on PennDOT Connects and also with funding programs and how to apply, as municipalities and be most competitive for the discretionary programs that are out there. And both DCNR and DCED will be presenters on that workshop as well. Page number 43, on the road safety reviews, Kristen McLaughlin was able to finalize that, so we'll have that to work with for our tip update and looking at highway safety improvement program funds to consider what we had previously gone out in the field and looked at with the members and with the district staff. So we're glad to have that and look forward to getting some good safety projects implemented. Our next newsletter for the MPO will probably go out in June. We're still seeing good statistics on that. About 41% of the nearly 300 recipients are opening it. So we're glad they're following along with our news and information items through that. And on the employer and critical facility section there on the bottom of page 43, I just turn it over to Bryce to give a quick update on where things stand there, how we work with our intern and the data that we've been gathering from the GIS departments as well.
Yeah, so we're pretty much finished up with that. Matt just had his last day, what was it, two Fridays ago?
Yeah.
Yep, and we're looking to add another intern here relatively soon. But for major employers, that data is all finalized and the critical facilities are just about finished. I'm just going through the rest of Matt's work and cleaning up a little bit. It's more of a side project at the moment, but yeah. So hand it back to Steve.
Great. Thank you, Bryce, and thanks for all the counties and the GS department sharing that information, and we'll serve that back out, when it's compiled. Bryce has been enhancing it and really presenting the data in a better fashion and getting it more defined with the various fields and everything, so it's more consistent. So thanks for your efforts on that. And then on page 44, we have some of the LTAP stuff just to highlight there. It's been going well with the classes. Don has the equipment operator session coming up that we normally do through Penn College in early June. And our 10 registrants will get out there a little bit in class, but mostly the whole afternoon is out there operating equipment. So that always is well received. And we look forward to that. And Don was able to arrange a chainsaw safety workshop through Penn College as well. So that'll also have a little bit of a hands-on demonstration piece along with all the safety techniques that should be followed. So we're glad to offer these kind of special add-ons to the normal LTAP training regimen. In the packet, pages 45 to 47 are customary updates on the milestones for the TA set aside, and then tracking the activity on the highway occupancy permits on page 48, and also the TIS or Transportation Impact Study applications that are submitted from the region as well for your reference. Any questions on any of those items in your packet or anything else that I did not touch on? Okay, hearing none, we're up to agenda item H. That's our Complete Streets Planning Update. Just wanted to mention we did execute a work order with the Gannett Fleming team. I saw Michelle Brummer is on here with us as well. We were we're glad to do that. It's our new Increasing Safe and Accessible Transportation Options funds coming to the MPOs and RPOs to focus on complete streets planning and standards. So the first priority effort was to develop a complete streets policy for the MPO. So Michelle and her team is doing some case studies and literature reviews and scans of examples and best practices. So as that's being developed, we'll be bringing back the complete streets policy for the MPO for your review and critique, as we would hopefully get that adopted and approved here sometime late summer, early fall. The second tier was a complete streets policy template for municipalities to use and consider. So that would be the next stage, and some of that activity is underway as well for the reviews and scans. And then we have a unit of customized assistance to help a specific municipality develop or customize a complete streets policy, or look at maybe some audits of a specific road or area they want to look at for complete streets purposes. And then finally, updating our project matrix for the Middle Susquehanna Bike Ped Plan and other larger complete streets type projects. So there'll be outreach with all the counties as part of that, seeing what needs updated in the current matrix and newer things that have come together that we want to have as top tier priorities for more accommodations for walkers and bikers, youth, seniors, and so forth, to make our streets as complete and as accessible as possible. Michelle, is there anything additional you wanted to share at all in that effort?
No, I think you covered all of the sort of starter tasks we have listed under there, and certainly if additional funding comes through, we can expand that work and do some other activities or expand the technical assistance opportunity. That would be fantastic, but we'll stay focused on these first 4 items for the time being. Thanks for mentioning it.
Great. Thank you, Michelle. Any other questions about complete streets planning for the region or municipal officials? Okay. Hearing none, we're into agenda item I then. That's our 2025 12-year program public participations. We kept that language on the agenda, but we'll cover some other things related to financial guidance here as well. But just to update, I think some of you probably hit the survey that PennDOT does every 2 years for the 12-year program update, and also potentially maybe the online public forum. But PennDOT School was 10,000 survey responses, that nice interactive online survey now, where you can go drop your points of areas of concern or weigh in on other priorities and how we invest our funds in the state. And that was exceeded. So 10,573 surveys were received. That's the most yet in these new online.
What was that number?
10,573 across the state. So we'll get eventually, probably in June, July, all the regions will get the data,
okay.
All the point data we can use with GIS, and it'll be on the State Transportation Commission website as well. So we can see those by category, like bike ped, safety, transit, congestion related.
Great.
And then it'll also then link in, if there's a tip project already planned for kind of what somebody's weighing in on from the public, you can see that interaction as well. So that'll come out this summer, that we'll actually get access to the data and can consider that for the update. So that was good to see. And I think over 3,000 people attended the online public forum on April 12th, where PennDOT senior leadership presented for the program update, and also members of the State Transportation Commission. That recording will be posted to PennDOT's website if you are interested in taking a look at that, along with a transcript. So we'll analyze the results again as they come on board, and take a look at that and make sure we're sharing that with the members if you want to see what anyone from your counties are offering as far as input for the 12-year program update. The survey, the new thing this time, will remain open until September 30th. So even though it unofficially closed on April 30th, anyone can go out there and still take the online survey through September of this year.
Great.
Any questions about the public participation aspect? Okay, if not, on page 52 of your packet, we have some key messaging points about the 2025 TIP development that PennDOT had generated for use by the planning partners. I want to highlight a couple things there on the financial guidance first. State funds for bridges and highways, and you'll see that on the charts that follow, are higher over the first 4 years, and that is due to additional revenues because of less money coming out of the motor license fund to pay for state police activities. That's been a priority to kind of ratchet that back so that the funds can go toward more transportation projects and less for the state police. So, and following the governor's budget proposal as well for that. So that allows us to get increases in the state highway and bridge dollars on the tip, which is a good thing. On the federal side, those are assumed to remain flat. Obviously, we have the bipartisan law coming to an end in 2026. So until there's action on a new bill, the federal funds will remain flat after the first 2 years. New data was brought together, as it always is, for the tip update. All the vehicle miles traveled, lane miles, bridge deck area, new census data from 2020. So that's what's used to build the financial guidance. The new programs, kind of like Mark Schultz alluded to earlier, the carbon reduction program funds, those are coming online now. They were late for the last tip update because of the bipartisan law passage, but now we have those programmed on our 4-year tip. And on the protect or the resiliency formula funds, those are just going to be a statewide line item as more guidance is being developed on that for the first 2 years. And then for the next tip update, there'll be determinations made on how to allocate those funds across all the regions in Pennsylvania. So more to come on that, but initially it'll be a statewide line item. On the safety side of things, the Highway Safety Improvement Program dollars, the amount for the statewide set aside has increased. I think it went from 35 million to 50 million. So that has some impacts on the regional tips, but it's a big focus for PennDOT and Federal Highway Administration. So we're best using those funds, getting them obligated and committed and expended. So more is going into statewide for some top tier priority activities there, and less on some of the regional tips. And I won't really hit the general and procedural guidance message points there, but in your packet, did put charts. You can kind of see the financial numbers here for the SEDA COG 8-county MPO region. Year 1, it's the first federal fiscal year. So looking at the 2023 tip, our current one, we're seeing those increases across the board. The biggest impact, like I mentioned, is state highway. From 2023 to 2025 tips, that's going up 36% for our region. State bridge, 23%. And the federal bridge up 17%. Just a caveat there, I compiled the bridge off federal aid system and the BRIC funds just for simplicity and call that federal bridge on your second chart on page 54. And then the surface transportation program or STP funds are increasing by 10%. So, and like I mentioned, the safety funds, you see a little bit dropping back there, not significant, but a little bit of a reduction there because of more going in for the statewide line item. So we're glad to see that. And these are just our base allocated funds. It doesn't reflect those discretionary type funding programs or things that are spiked that are significant, like the CSVT project. These are just what are allocated as base funds for our region for the asset management and other needs that we have. Any questions about the financial guidance, the numbers, or anything with the information in your packet on the 12-year program update? Well, we'll continue to work along that process. The carryover projects from 2023 that need to go into 2025, working closely with the districts on those and the room for new projects, and taking the feedback from all the members for our coordination meetings we've had, a lot of it on the local bridge side, and then taking a look at the public input and our long-range plan as we proceed along here. Hopefully by the end of the year we'll have a draft tip pretty well in good shape to be shared with the members. So probably February of next year as we'll have that initial draft, and then April is where we would look to have a approval from the members on advertising the draft tip for public comment to set us up for a June adoption. So a lot of activity to come and to occur, but we'll continue to be coordinating with you all on that and share more information. But if there aren't any questions, and I don't think it was just people letting know about their dropping off or anything in the chat, nothing came and done. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Well, we are then up to agenda item J, sorry. And that's Bryce to give us an update on the local bridge prioritization process for this tip update.
All right, hi everyone, this is Bryce Buck from SEDA COG. Just wanted to thank everybody for taking the time out of their schedules to attend the local bridge priority meetings through March and April. Just to identify the preliminary local bridge concerns and other transportation related topics in your counties. We finished these meetings back up second week of April, and everyone should have received their finalized meeting notes by now. So if you didn't get those notes, please reach out to me if you need a copy for your county. We just moved on to the next step of the process with SurveyMonkey to collect more planning info for your local bridges that were ID'd during those meetings. So it may seem a little redundant at first glance, but it was made to collect other important planning information that we didn't go over during the meetings related to structure usage, such as like active transportation, like if you have a hydrant next to the structure, stuff like that, and then other future land development. All of these are later quantified into our decision lens, and that creates the final list of recommendations. And then since sending out the surveys at the end of April, only one county has completed the surveys, and a couple have reached out concerning this step. So again, for those who have yet to complete this step, please complete the survey once for each structure that has been selected as a priority by your county for tip consideration. So about like 3 to 10, anywhere in that range, by the deadline of Wednesday, May 31st. So this all goes into the decision lens calculations that we'll get out by the end of June. So if you need any assistance regarding completing the survey, we can set up a virtual meeting or something, or a phone call, and I can run you through it. Yeah, please reach out. And again, if you need the survey link, please reach out as well. In relation to Columbia County, Eric, I'm going to be finishing moving the last cycles over into the new cycle, as we discussed earlier. And then moving ahead, SEDA COG will complete the bridge prioritization list for the 2025 TIP for endorsement by the MPO on the September 15th MPO meeting. If anybody has any questions related to this, we can just move on to the next item.
Hey, Bryce.
Hey, Frank.
I believe Corey Ann said she needed a copy. Just heads up, it was in the text.
All right, good to know.
Chat.
I will mark that down.
Thank you, Frank. Yeah, Don brought that up, and I think it probably went, I forget, to either Mark and Lonnie or one, but we'll make sure it gets to you directly, Carrie Ann, coming out of this meeting, and you can kind of take a look at that. Brian Weiser, your engineer, was sharing some good information on the inspection side of things, but this survey, as Bryce mentioned, will factor in some of the land use and land development considerations that we didn't really dig into in our coordination meetings previously. So we'll look forward to that and building that into the evaluation and prioritization process going forward. And appreciate the districts and all you've done in supporting all that and what your units will be looking at as we prepare these recommendations and get the endorsement in September by the NPO. That'll give us a little bit enough lead time to coordinate, with the tip development and see what we can add. Hopefully get some new projects, and if things need to be revised with your current crop or things are changing at the local level, we can factor that in as well. So thanks for all the investment time you put into this, and Bryce for getting up to speed with this process and taking it through its many forms.
Yeah, I think that was sent to Lonnie, so I'll make sure to get that out to you after the meeting then.
Could I make a favor?
Yep.
If I didn't complete that, will you send me a reminder?
Yeah, I
to do
got
it?
you.
Because I've been so busy lately, I don't know if I did or not.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I was gonna send out a reminder here a week before the deadline, but I
Okay,
can
thank
get
you, I appreciate that.
afterwards. Yep, of course. If we don't have any more questions, I'll move on to agenda item K. I'll wait here a second. All right, for the Middle Susquehanna Active Transportation Committee, we just had our second quarterly meeting this past Wednesday. So for those of you who attended, please expect a follow-up email here with the updated policies procedures doc and meeting minutes by Monday. So during the meeting, we had guest presentations by Trish Meek on PennDOT's bicycle and pedestrian program, and Pat Wright on active transportation on rural Pennsylvania roads. And then we also added an amendment to our policies procedures regarding transition to membership. So like if somebody leaves their org or anything like that, the organization can replace that member with another employee. And then also, as mentioned during our last MPO meeting, we'll be going ahead with the creation of a new hub site for the MSATC, similar to the long-range transportation plan one you just saw. Again, not the same format, but it's going to act as like a repository for information for the committee, hold resources for committee members, and then just act as a way to connect with the general public, not through social media.
Fantastic.
And then if anyone's not currently listed for those meetings and is interested in joining the committee and interested in active transportation in our region.
Can you put me on the list?
Yeah, I got you.
Thanks.
Yeah, please contact me. We'll get you in there and set you up for the August 16th next meeting. Does anybody have any questions, concerns related to the active transportation committee?
Just if you do have guest recommendations, feel free to let us know. We put that out at the committee meeting. We were glad to have Pat. He's great through the LTAP program that Don works with, and other things that the state is working on, technical assistance for municipalities. So to cover how you can incorporate active transportation elements on rural roads and residential roads was very timely and valuable. And then Trish Meek from the statewide side was very good on active transportation plan priorities, changes to design manuals for PennDOT, and some other things that are being worked on currently. That was very good to receive. And I think for the August one, at least initially, there's interest in hearing from DCNR about their e-bike policy. So we'll plan to have someone as a speaker at that one in August. And so if you have other kind of things you think are current, hot topics, you want to have guest presenters on.
Who was the presenter there?
I forget her name, but someone with DCNR is going to speak about the e-bike policy on the trails and state parks. And
yeah, I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but I think you covered that pretty well. Okay. All right, well, that's it from me for MSATC. So,
thank you, Bryce. Thanks for coordinating all that. And upgrades like the hub site and everything will be valuable for that effort as well. If there are any additional comments or questions, we are up to now agenda item L. I was looking at the tab in the packet. So this is one where we have some handouts. They start on page 74. Just our kind of normal reporting on other things that are going on within the region and some funding programs. Put the plug out there for page 75, Safe Streets and Roads for All. If you're looking at or considering that, the deadline is July 10th for those applications, whether they be action plan grants or actually an implementation grant option. Take a look at those. There's been a suite of webinars held. There's more information out there if you're considering that funding program. The Wildlife Crossings Pilot Program as well. We have that link in there if you're interested in that. And then the Protect Discretionary Grant, not the formula funds that'll be available through the TIP process, but a discretionary competitive grant program to address areas prone to flooding. And that's due August 18th. So those links are in there. And some other kind of normal updates are in your items of interest. And we wanted to just open it up to members if there's anything you're working on in your areas or anything for the good of the order that you want to share with the entire group, please do so now.
Hey, Steve. This is John at District 3.
Yeah.
We will be shutting down the shoulder on the right-hand shoulder on I-80 West along Fishing Creek in between the Buckhorn and 487 Light Street interchange. Fishing Creek's starting to erode the embankment along 80 to a high rate to a point where we have to shut down the shoulder. If it gets worse, we might have to go to a 1-lane condition. We're not quite there yet, and hopefully we don't get any major rain events between now and what are we going to do to mitigate this. We shouldn't have to, unless we have to a little bit for some construction work to kind of make sure we don't lose this until we can get in there and do a full contract, which we are looking to do in mid-July, and then come back and finalize everything after we do a reconstruction in around 2025.
Yeah, that's been a difficult area for quite some time between Buckhorn and Lake Street interchange, so thank you for that. Any other member updates or interest items? Gene, I see your hands raised.
Yeah, thanks. I had earlier put the NOFO links in the chat for everyone. You also covered them very well here at the meeting. The one thing I did want to hit on though is that the deadline for the charging and fueling infrastructure discretionary application, they extended that by another 2 weeks. So that new deadline is June 13th. Lisa also pointed that out in the chat as well.
Okay, good. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. Thank you. It allows a little bit more time for developing those applications, so that's good. Any other member? Oh, Carrie Ann, please. See your hand.
I'm not too familiar with this, but we are working on an active transportation plan for Mifflin County. I'm working with Michelle on that. It's called Mifflin Moves. That just got back from review, and we're going to be looking at that and see what the public has had to say about that, as well as working on our bridges this year. It's been too big territory. I'm still trying to learn about everything.
So I heard your first part about the active transportation plan. Sorry, I couldn't hear you too well for the second part. Was there a question there?
No, I was just mentioning that we're working on a bridge study in the county right now.
Oh, yes, yep, for the bridge capital plan. Yeah, be looking forward to coordinating with you on that now, and with Lonnie and your Keller engineers as that advances. And just for Frank's benefit, I think he's still on. That'll be something we'll look to do, an extension of the Mifflin County Capital Bridge Plan to take us through the next fiscal year, just to be fully covered. So that request will be forthcoming on that, Frank. Just as had some delays, getting started and everything on that Capital Bridge Plan. Great, thank you, Carrie Ann. Yeah, we'll look forward to working with you on the implementation related to your county-wide active transportation plan. That was a nice product Michelle's team was working on, and I know we've already received some interest in a couple of those pilot projects moving forward, so thank you. Anything additional that members want to comment on or share?
Real briefly, Steve.
Yes.
At the last meeting for planning directors on May 12th, they had some of the administration from the new secretary there, a variety of different groups, and one of the main things that came out of it is they let us know that PennDOT is really looking to streamline the permitting process for a whole bunch of different permits. They were talking about one, I can't remember exactly what it was, that the process could take, I think, a total of 538 days or something like that. They're trying to get everything down to fit within the 90 to 100 days across the board no matter what, which is going to be nice for transportation. Trying to get all your permitting and get that done. They really realize, thankfully, that there's an issue there, and they're working hard to try to streamline everything so that people can get their work done.
That new Office of Transformation and Opportunity set up by the governor has been charged with streamlining processes across the board in all the agencies. So that's really encouraging. They've pinpointed a number of real bottlenecks and to make it easier to do business in the Commonwealth.
If it works the way they want it to work and the way they project it to work, it's going to save a lot of time,
Is there a staffing component to this, or just other efficiencies they're looking to take advantage of?
I think a little bit of everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great, thank you for that.
Thank you.
And we've heard that a lot of those cabinet secretaries and deputy leadership can kind of travel now. I think there was a little bit of a slow flow on some of that occurring, and the State Transportation Commission will be next month in the Williamsport area, kind of their quarterly meeting. So if any of you are interested, I think they're going to do some mobile tours and then have their normal business meeting.
Anything in the SEDA COG region, or it's all going to be up in Williamsport?
Pretty much all at the airport and surrounding there, because they don't have too much time before the meeting starts, so they're going to do a little bit of a tour, I think, of the airport and maybe Penn College as well. I'm not sure, but yeah, it'd be kind of a multimodal aspect. Get on the River Valley Transit Authority buses and go to the airport and talk about initiatives and projects there, and then get back to their normal business meeting. Is there anything further for the good of the order here today?
Oh, this is Jeff from PA Transportation Alliance in the Silk. I should have mentioned this earlier. Just got back from my appointment. And I mentioned this at the May 17th meeting too. The e-scooter program, which is currently in the city of Pittsburgh, is a pilot that is expiring in the end of June. Is going to be, they're looking to renew it through state legislation and expand it to PA third-class counties. Scranton is noted particularly, but the third-class counties in the SEDA COG region, as I understand it, would be Sunbury and Shamokin that could potentially enact local ordinances if this is passed. The Senate bill is 692. The lead sponsor is Senator Dan Laughlin, who's a Republican from Erie. It's passed out of the Senate Transportation Committee with both the chairs supporting it. It's slated for a Senate floor vote the week of June 5th through 7th when the Senate comes back. And I think the goal is to have it passed by June 30th. I'm not sure where Governor Shapiro is on this. I've heard mixed things, but something you may want to take a look at. I can put that in the chat though.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. That information, updates, and potential expansion of that pilot program. Great, well, I don't think I see any other hands raised or hear any voices, so our next meeting will be on July 21st. And we will look forward to having you all participate then that are able to make us in the summer months. And if there's nothing further, we look for a motion to adjourn today's May 19th meeting.
Motion, Steve Phillips.
Okay, we'll hear the motion to Lincoln in the room, and we'll give you the second, Steve Phillips. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? And no extensions, I don't believe. So thank you so much, everyone, for your time and participation, and have a great weekend.
Bill's in the chat.
Meeting.
If anybody wants to grab it before you leave, thanks.
Bye, Steve.
Bye. Thanks, Don. Moderating, keep things going.